bodies are in 2024, but for many of us, our minds are still stuck in the past of whatever happened to us 1 year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, whatever the number is. A lot of us, our minds are still, and our emotions are still trapped in that exact moment, even though time has continued to go on, even though it is 2024 and our physical bodies are here, but our mental bodies, our emotional bodies are stuck and trapped in that trauma. And the wages of sin is death. And this is why, while we're alive, this is why many of us experience 1,000 deaths, all in this one body, in this one lifetime, is because we are afraid, is because we have not healed that trauma, whatever it is that we've gone through. And this is why the wages of sin is death. And this is why we die a million times before we even see that hole in the ground that's 6 feet deep whenever that day comes for us. Because the wages of sin are death. Death by decisions. Death by emotions. Death by living life through the lens of what life really should be lived through. Because you see, we don't see life as life truly is. We see life as we are. Most of us, a lot of us, not all of us, we see life through the lens of whatever we've experienced in our life, especially the negative stuff. And this is why so many people are cynical when it comes to manifesting a specific person, is because of all of the trauma that we've gone through in our life that has accumulated time and time and time and time again. And this is why so many narratives are pushed about men or about women. And this is why so many people have given up on dating, given up on manifesting an old SP or even a new SP, because we are constantly inundated with so much negative toxicity about each other, whether you're in a gay relationship, whether you're in a heterosexual relationship, it doesn't matter. It's applicable to everyone, everything. Negativity runs the world. But in order to elevate above that negativity, you must start to learn how to see the world as it truly is, to elevate and ascend over all of the negative things you've heard over the years around a specific person, whoever that may be. Relationships, you have to ascend past that. And in order to do that, you must see the world as it really is, not as you are. See, there's 8 billion people in the world, or whatever the number is. It's in the billions. 7 billion, 8 billion, whatever number you feel comfortable with using. From a mathematical standpoint, there are way too many people in this planet for all of us to be exactly the same. So when men and when women say, oh, all women are the same, or all men are the same, all women are the same, or all whoever's the same, it's just not true. From a mathematical perspective, you cannot have 7, 8 billion people on this planet and all of us be exactly the same. And anytime I hear people say this type of narrative that are trying to manifest the SP, or maybe have given up on SPs or given up on relationships, or whatever the case may be, I already know and understand it's hurt. You haven't gotten over the original sin. And the wages of sin are death. So what you're doing is you're foreshadowing. You are destroying any possibility of being able to get into a healthy relationship. You are destroying, you are killing. Wages of sin is death. You are killing the very fact, the very possibility of even being able to experience something happy. Your mind is completely shutting down. And this is all because, as I started this video off with by saying, Your body is in 2024, but your mental mind, your emotional mind, is stuck in the past of whatever trauma or traumas, as with a plural, that you've experienced. I heard a quote a long time ago. I don't remember who said this quote. I want to say it was Bill Gates. And I want everybody to understand something too. You have to get rid of your ego. When you hear something that sounds true, when you hear something that resonates, you have to accept it. A lot of people don't like hearing quotes from Bill Gates or maybe other elitists, if you want to use that word. When people don't like somebody, anything that they say, they just completely disregard it. That's not how I operate. Whether I like a person or not, when I hear something that sounds truthful, I'm like, man, that's deep. Wow, there's a lot of truth behind that. I can hear somebody say something, even if I don't like the person, I can learn from them somehow, some way. And so I think it might have been Bill Gates that I heard say this quote however many years ago. But the quote went something along the lines of, if you're born poor, it's not your fault. But if you die poor, it's 100% your fault. And I think that quote rings true for so many people in this country, in this world. Because whatever the original sin is, it's probably not your fault. Whatever the original trauma is, it's probably not your fault. However, if you continue to bring that trauma with you year after year after year after year, and you don't deal with it, then it becomes your fault because you're allowing that to be your identity. And this is where Neville Goddard comes in to play, because Neville Goddard's revision technique, I think, is the one technique that many people who are trying to manifest a specific person, I think this is the one technique that many of us need to focus on. Because healing your traumas is essentially what revision is all about. And people in the Neville community, people in the manifesting community, they don't talk about it because Neville used different language in his day, because language evolves, as we all know. We don't talk how we talked in the 1800s, 1700s, early 1900s, mid 1900s. We don't talk that way anymore. Yes, the base of English is the same, yes. But the way we construct our words, our slang terms, everything is different. It's changed. And so Neville 100% taught to go back in your life and to heal and to do shadow work. He didn't call it shadow work, but essentially that's what revision is. And understand, like I said before, think of everything in mental terms, not in actual physical terms. Kind of like how Neville talks about the Bible being nothing but imaginal scenes and just being a not actual physical story or physical play, but a mental story, a mental play. It's a play on words, right? So if you think of it from that perspective, when I say the wages of sin is death, don't think actual physical death, but think of death of certain things that could potentially happen in your life. The wages of sin is death. So what that means is, which is why revision cures this, because what that means is your sin is you having negative thoughts about men. Your sin is having negative thoughts about women. Your sin is destroying the idea, you're killing the idea, any idea of you being able to be happy with a specific person, whether it be new or old. You're killing that idea. And we know that study the Bible or study any religious book, basically, killing is considered a sin. So the wages of sin is death. You got to pay up. So when you kill the idea, committing a sin, when you kill the idea of being happy in a relationship or finding a good man or finding a good woman or whatever it is that you're trying to manifest, when you kill that idea, you're committing a sin. And it dies right there on the spot. And you're not allowing yourself any grace to allow that to come into fruition. it has to die until the new idea comes into play. And then when the new idea comes into play, hopefully you won't kill that idea and commit a sin. But what happens is year after year, we continually commit sin. And like Neville Goddard said, sin is the cause of the unrevised scenes of the past. I'm going to say that again. Sin is the cause of the unrevised scenes of the past. So essentially, when you tie this to a specific person, in my opinion, my humble opinion, essentially what's being said is a lot of our problems are being caused because of our unrevised scenes of relationships from the past. So the wage we must pay, the wages, again, the wages of sin is death. The wage we must pay, we have to pay up. In our new relationship we get, what happens is most of us pay up. We pay our debts. We kill our relationships because of the unrevised scenes of old relationships, because our bodies are in 2024, or our bodies were in 2023 or 2022, or whenever it was that you left your specific person. Your body was there, but your mind and your emotions were still stuck on that time when you were 19, when you were 20, when you were 21, when you were 24, 25, and you got your heart broken. And you took that experience from relationship to relationship. And you made all of the next men or women, you made them pay for the consequences of what somebody did to you 5, 10 years ago. You made them pay the debt. But what you don't realize is you ultimately ended up paying the debt because you can't keep a relationship. That's what a lot of people don't realize. So you're committing sin because anything new you try to start continues to die. And again, this is all mental. This is all from a mental perspective. Don't think physically. We're talking mental. So if you continue to move through life this way, the wages of sin is death. You're going to keep dying. You're going to keep killing yourself. Obviously, again, like I said, we're speaking mentally. You're going to keep killing your relationship. You're going to keep killing your finances. You're going to keep killing your job. You're going to keep killing your dream. Whatever it is that you're trying to manifest, you're going to keep killing it because the wages of sin is death. And like Neville says, sin is the cause of the unrevised scenes of the past. So you must go back into the past to all of these events and you must change them. And like Florence Scovel Shinn said, you must baptize them. Success. Baptize victory over your old circumstances. So that way you stop being the victim and carrying this sin with you from relationship to relationship, or carrying this sin with you from job to job. And you can finally be successful. Because let's face it, it's 2024. This baggage that you're carrying, it's getting too heavy. It's getting to be a burden. And it's a lot easier than we think it is because a lot of times all we have to just do is put that baggage down. You know, the body is like a suitcase. The body is a suitcase. It stores emotions. Some people store emotions differently in different parts of their body. Some store emotions, some store pain in their stomach. I had a friend of mine, whenever he gets stressed, he stores it in his back. His back gets tightened up, really starts to hurt. Can't walk, can't do anything really. So all of us are different. We store emotions in different parts of our bodies because, like I said, it's a suitcase. Your mind is a suitcase. Your mind stores emotions. Your mind stores memories. But something that I realized is, and I realized this a long time ago, life is meant to be lived to be forgotten. And what I mean by that is the more you live, the more you just randomly forget things. And this is why time heals all, because as we live our life, the mind it's created to forget. We can't remember everything that we've experienced in our lives. We don't Certain things we remember because we're choosing to continue to remember it, which is why revision is so powerful, which is why I'm making this video to tell all of you guys revision may be the one thing you need to work on when manifesting a specific person. There are a lot of things that people are choosing to remember and choosing to consciously hold on to. And this part is what holds a lot of people back because you're choosing to hold on to sin, whatever the original sin might have been, or sins that you might have experienced multiple times. You're choosing, again, which is forcing you to kill. Wages of sin is death. You see how this is coming full circle? Making the choice to remember all of these bad things that have happened to you that's a conscious choice to remember those things and to hold on to those feelings, which is why so many people develop a victim mentality, is because they continuously live in the past. You guys have heard me say religiously in my past videos, the past and the future are two thieves that rob you of the present moment, specifically the past. Depression comes from people living in the past, thinking about the past. That's where depression comes from. Anxiety, a lot of times, comes from thinking about the future, which is why you hear all of the great teachers, whoever it be, tell us to practice living in the moment. The present moment is all that's real. The past is no longer real. It happened. It's done. But it's our thoughts, our mind, emotions that keep the past alive year after year after year, which stops us from growing and having that healthy relationship and manifesting that SP and keeping that SP is because we're still thinking about the original sin. We're still thinking about death by 1,000 cuts. All of those deaths that we had by 1,000 cuts from all of our previous relationships or from all of our previous jobs, from all of our previous everything. And it's robbing you of the present moment, which is why you can never heal, which is why you can never fully be aware and present and have all of these beautiful manifestations pour into your reality. Because you're not seeing life as it really is. You're seeing life as you are. Everyone is you pushed out. You're seeing life through the lens of your trauma year after year after year. And then we wonder why we continue to suffer. And this is why. This is why we suffer. From not living in the present moment, from not understanding. There are people on earth who have experienced exactly what you experienced, whatever that trauma might have been, but they don't view life. How come they view life differently than you? How come you don't see the joy that they see? It's because they made a conscious choice and they did the work and they decided to say, hey, you know what? I'm not going to let what happened to me, however many times, whether it be once, twice, 4 or 5 times, I'm not going to let that change me. I'm not going to let that become my identity. I understand I have the power. You know, I think about people like Oprah Winfrey, who was molested when she was a kid. I think about people like Joyce Meyer, who was molested by her father very often, up until the time she was about 18, I believe. And I look at what she was able to turn into to this day, multi-billionaire, pastor, preacher, author, all of the above. These people made choices to not let their trauma destroy their identity anymore. Because understand, what you went through, that's not who you are. That's not who you truly are. That's just what you experienced. It's just something that you went through. But that's not your identity. But what happens is people's identity get tied to this, and it stops them from manifesting the best relationship or keeping the best relationship or not seeing the signs of a healthy relationship because you're so focused on looking for the negative. But all of these people, those two women I just named, Oprah, Joyce Meyer, there's other people. These women said, no, I can control this. That was just part of my story. That was a small part of my story, but I'm not going to live in that and stay in that. And this is what happens with so many people and why they can't manifest healthy relationships because of these things, it stays with them. And I understand it's tough. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. I'm not saying you shouldn't feel the way that you feel. But what I am saying is just, we must take it upon ourselves to figure out how we can climb out of this hole and to stop living in the past so that we can revise these things, so that we can actually manifest a lot of the stuff that we want to manifest in our lives. And a big way to do this, in my opinion, is revision. And something I noticed about revision is when you really start revising things, you really start to forget what the original sin was. I can't tell you how many times I revise things and I look back and I think to myself, wow, I completely forgot that that happened. Something might pop up in my head randomly and I'll think to myself, oh, I completely forgot that that happened. Or I'll forget something happened because I revised it. And then the only reason I might remember it is because somebody was talking about something or I was talking about something, and then it kind of pops back up into my head. And I don't know if anybody else has had this experience with revision, but I have revised things and I 100%, there are things that I 100% forgot. To this day, I don't remember a lot of stuff happening because I revised it so much. And for you guys that know, revision is simply taking an event that happened and revising the event to how you wish it would have happened. And that's the new thought. So revision doesn't deny the fact that the original sin happened. It doesn't deny that. But what revision helps you with is it helps you from thinking about it constantly. Because this is why we can't manifest a specific person, is because we continually think about the original sins that we have gone through year after year after year after year. And so revision is not denying that truth. Revision is telling you, hey, instead of thinking of this thought, reach for a better thought. Kind of like Abraham Hicks says. Abraham Hicks, you will hear Abraham Hicks constantly talk about reaching for a better thought. That's what this is about. This is about reaching for a better thought. That's what revision does, is it helps you revise a terrible situation or a bad situation and to stop thinking about that situation, even though it happened. It helps your mind, it helps you retrain your mind, your neural pathways to say, oh, I'm going to think of something else instead. I'm going to think good thoughts instead. Because ultimately, life is about controlling your mind. You can control your mind. Mastering your mind is the one thing that most people in life will never do, no matter how hard they try. Which is why anybody listening to this, it is imperative that, to me, this be your number one goal in life, is to master your mind. Because if you master your mind, with that comes mastering everything else in your life. All of the other problems in your life, in my opinion, will take care of themselves once you learn how to fully master your mind. And one of the big ways to do that is revision, especially when it comes to manifesting a specific person, is revision. Because a person continuing to replay the sins of their past, continuing to replay and live in your head those emotions, those feelings that you had from your past, from whatever trauma in your relationships, that is the sin. That is the debt that you are paying. The wages of sin is death. That is the debt that you are paying that is stopping you, most likely, from manifesting a specific person, whether it be a new one or an old one.